Notation analysis is used by coaches and sports scientists to gather objective data on the performance of athletes. Tactics, technique, individual athlete movement, and work rate can all be analysed, enabling coaches and athletes to learn more about performance and gain a competitive advantage. Hughes and Franks, 2004. Notation analysis of sport is where a person observes an athlete and counts the number of times they meet a performance criteria. A performance criteria is a factor in successful sports performance. Using performance criteria, comparisons can be made between players and between different positions. For instance, in football, an example of performance criteria could be goals scored or tackles made, and you can analyse the success of a striker by the numbers of goals he scores and a defender by the number of tackles he makes. The performance criteria vary between sports and within sports. Swimming would have a very different performance criteria to tennis, and within swimming the criteria would be according to stroke and also whether you were analysing a sprinter or a distance swimmer. A sprinter would need to have a high stroke count and rate, whereas a distance swimmer would need to have a low stroke count and rate. You can analyse athletes' movement. For example, in swimming, you can measure efficiency of movement by counting the number of strokes taken to cover a set distance. The more efficient you are, the fewer strokes you need. You can plot distance covered to see how hard they are working by using GPS. You can analyse work rate by measuring heart rate with a heart monitor. You can use notation analysis to monitor and change tactics. For example, you can analyse positional play in football by mapping the players' movements to see if they are where they should be. You can monitor and change the pace in swimming to find out when it is the best time in the race to increase the intensity and therefore the speed. You can use notation analysis to improve technique by using technical analysis. For example, in a dive, when a swimmer is on the block, the performance criteria would be hips high and close to the front of the block, straight back foot flat, arms grabbing the block, and during the dive, the performance criteria would be head position, arm position, body alignment, force off the block. By analysing these performance criteria, you can give a swimmer feedback on what he or she needs to improve to get a better dive. Charlie and Aaron are both competing to be a power forward in the BASFIT basketball team. The 5 performance criteria I've chosen for analysing Charlie and Aaron are 3 points attempted/scored and 2 points attempted/scored, because shooting is what a power forward needs to be good at for their specific role. Free throws attempted/scored, which is after a player is fouled, then the power forward gets the opportunity to free throw. It's another very important skill, because if they can stay focused under the pressure, then they will score points for the team. Steals are another really crucial part of being a power forward, because they might steal the ball from the other team and go from being defensive to offensive and score points for the team. Finally, rebounds are very useful for a power forward, because if a player on your team misses a shot, then you have the opportunity to get the points they have missed, and if the opposing team misses a shot, then the power forward can regain possession for the team. The process of notation analysis involves either watching the game of basketball live or recording it on film, so that you can watch it later in detail, pausing whenever you need to. In the first half, I filmed Aaron and Charlie playing basketball, and later watched the video and recorded what performance criteria they achieved on the tally chart, and then I transferred it to a spreadsheet. In the second half, I watched the game live and recorded the number of times they met the criteria on a tally chart. I also recorded their movement patterns by watching the video and drawing where they moved, using a pencil and picture of the court. Later, I will be able to look at the spreadsheet and find out things such as where they took time to get into the game, or whether they fatigued and played worse as the game went on. The strengths of notation analysis are objective analysis. It is an objective way of analysing performance because it only relies on actual data, i.e. the number of times an athlete meets a performance criteria, instead of perception, which can be inaccurate. Tactical performance. This is a strength because it allows you to see if a tactic is working for your team, e.g. you might have a tactic to shoot as many times as possible in the first 15 minutes, and notation analysis would allow you to see whether this resulted in more baskets scored. Tactical performance. Notation analysis allows you to observe a technique through data. For instance, is a player able to maintain technique and carry on scoring throughout the game? If not, you could get the player to practice more endurance training and scoring when tired. Movement patterns allow you to see how hard a player is working by seeing how much they run during the game and whether they are in the right position for their role. Easily presented and understandable. Notation analysis is easily presented in tables and graphs. This makes it easy to understand the strengths and weaknesses of a performance, even if you're not an expert in the sport, and you'll be able to draw some sort of conclusion from the data. Comparable. Notation analysis makes it easy to compare athletes because you have objective data for each athlete. It also allows you to compare performances by the same athlete, so you can see if improvements have been made. The weaknesses of notation analysis are: the statistics don't take into account the circumstances of certain performance criteria. For instance, you are more likely to miss a shot taken in haste in the last second of the game, but this would be recorded and affect your result. Another factor could be that you were marked by the best player on the team. This would have an impact on your results. Notation analysis might not be as objective as it seems. If a person who is recording data live gets distracted, this will affect the result. Another weakness is the amount of time it will take to collect the data and put it onto a spreadsheet and graphs. Finally, it could be expensive to buy a video camera or to employ somebody to record the data needed. Analysis of the notational data shows that Aaron attempted 2 more 2-pointers but scored the same number as Charlie. This would suggest that Charlie is the better player because he has a 100% success rate. However, it does show that Aaron was more involved in the game, and this is what you need to be a power forward. Aaron attempted 3 3-pointers and scored 2 of them, whereas Charlie attempted 1 and scored 0. This would suggest that Aaron is a stronger attacking player. Both Aaron and Charlie had a 50% success rate with their free throws, but whereas Aaron attempted 4 and scored 2, Charlie attempted 2 and scored 1. Aaron would therefore seem to be the better player. Aaron made 2 steals and Charlie made 1. Neither made an offensive rebound, but Charlie achieved 1 defensive rebound. According to the data, Aaron wins 3 of the performance criteria categories, and Charlie wins 2 of them. This would suggest that Aaron is the better power forward and should be chosen.